Alright guys, so what I'm going to be doing now is planting my sweet potatoes from slips that I started in these trays, and let me show you what I have here. What I'm doing here is my sweet potatoes. What I do every year is I get my sweet potatoes during the winter and I put them in a 10 by 20 inch tray like this. I fill it with potting soil or potting mix and I put my potatoes in it. Okay, just slightly covered, not important, and keep the soil moist. What will happen? They'll start to sprout, and the whole thing will start becoming roots. But those roots will start sprouting here or coming up to these vines, and the vines will have roots on the very bottom of them, like you see here. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take these off, okay, and we're going to plant these slips or these vines here into the ground where I'm going to be planting my potatoes, and this is where new potatoes will come from, and you'll get much better potatoes that way. You won't get as many of those really weird shaped ones, you know. You'll get more of your traditional looking sweet potatoes this way. Also, when the vines get really long on your potatoes, if you have a few that are long like I did, you can cut those vines. Cut them, and the bottom portion that you cut, you can stick those in the water like this, and pretty soon they will start growing roots, and you can put those right in the ground. Now here, what I'm going to do is take this this is all roots right here clumped together. But you can get a knife, get some pruning shears, whatever you want, and cut it really close to the potato. There, you see that? Got all that root system there. And honestly, this here, I can probably separate these because each one of these has a root system on it. Like right here, this one just come off. See that? This little one right here? See that big old root it's got on it? This is perfect. This will start producing some nice potatoes. And what I do with these, every one that I pick off, I'll put it in a bucket. I got a little bit of water at the bottom, just enough to cover the roots up, and keep them moist until I'm ready to plant. Let's see, this one here, we'll try taking this one off. And this one here has got a few roots on it right here. Let's see what I can do with this one. Okay, I just split these two apart, and these both have roots, nice root systems on it. These will work perfect. So put them in water, and then when I'm ready to plant them, we're going to put these right in the ground. You see this one right here? Look at that. That's got a nice root system on it. Now if you got some like this that haven't produced any roots yet, you can put these back in if you want, and you can wait on it. Put these back in the dirt, in the soil here, and keep it moist. These might be okay. These have a little bit of root on it. As long as it has a little bit of root on it, it's okay. If it doesn't, then put them in water and until they start growing roots, and then we can plant them. So this area, last year I planted my sweet potatoes, And in February when I planted my regular potatoes, I had already amended the soil here with my compost manure. And now all I'm going to do is just kind of level it out a little bit. Now there was a lot of weeds here, grass and stuff like that. That's no big deal, because once I start planting my slips, my vines for my sweet potatoes, it will choke out any weed. It'll just take over here. All the sweet potatoes will just start vining, and when those vines start growing and they hit the ground again, where it touches the ground, new roots will come out and get into the ground, and you'll have new potatoes. But you want to plant the slips. That's where you're going to get the best potatoes, put it that way. But it is vining, of course, and it'll vine, it'll come down, touch the ground, produce more roots and more potatoes, obviously. But the ones when the vine comes down and produces more roots, those usually will be a little more awkward shaped or a little smaller. But where you put the slips in, the actual plant, that will produce a better, more round, your more traditional looking potato. All right, so I got my slips in the bucket here. If you're growing slips and the vine gets too long, you can cut those vines like I showed you earlier and put them in the water, and those will produce roots. Those I can plant a little later, but these are ready to be planted now. These are the ones I took off the potato and had the roots on them already. These we're going to plant in rows. Now I don't have enough to probably do, I don't even think I have enough to do 2 rows, maybe. But what you want is to plant them in a row. Now normally they would plant them 12 inches apart, so a foot apart. You can go 1.5 feet. The farther you go apart, the bigger potatoes you're going to get. But then you don't want them too big, of course, because you have to cut them up to cook them and stuff like that. But so the idea is to keep around 1 foot apart. I'm going to go a little more than 1 foot. I might even go 18 inches, 1.5 feet, and do that, because I don't think I'm going to have enough slips. But I will guarantee you, even if I have 2 rows here, this entire area is going to be full by the end of the summer. Full of vines, and those vines will start rooting and produce more slips and more vines, and they just get out of hand. The beautiful thing about sweet potatoes is the leaves. All the leaves, the younger tender ones, you can cook them just like spinach, and in my opinion, they're better than spinach. Okay, so they are delicious. The whole plant basically is edible, so your potato and the leaves are edible and very delicious. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to put my first plant about right here. Now this soil is already amended and ready to go. Normally, like in all my garden beds and anywhere in my garden here, always amend your soil. I personally put compost and manure, and I put minerals in. If you're interested in putting minerals in your soil, I'm going to put a link to a video I did right here, and to get your soil tested. It is well worth it when your soil is nutrient rich, full of compost and manure, all the organic material and the minerals. The plant's going to do very, very well. What do we have here? This is a monster, but it is one plant. So we're going to go about 1.5 feet. Okay guys, if you have them with longer roots, don't bunch the roots up at the bottom of the hole when you dig your hole out like this. Lay the roots to the side. So when you put it in there, don't just push it down like that, but lay your roots so the roots lay to their side. And then cover your roots up. That way your roots will have no problem in creeping out in that direction rather than being all crumpled up. And we're just going to do that all the way down. Now your rows, you want to keep your rows roughly 36, 42 inches apart. And each plant in the row, like I said, normally 12 inches. You can go a foot and a half, 18 inches. That would work. Alright guys, so I appreciate you watching. I hope you learned something from this on how to plant your sweet potatoes. And thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video.